Hey, my name is Joe Gilder with PreSonus, and today I want to talk to you about PreSonus Sphere. Now, if you have no idea what that is, let me explain what it is so you can decide if this video is something you want to check out. I've been a big PreSonus user for years, long before I came to work for PreSonus, and one of the big products that I use from PreSonus is Studio One, which is our recording software, our DAW. Up until just recently, it was really simple. You could just buy Studio One if you wanted it or not. We have a few different versions. We have a free version called Prime. We have a medium version called Artist that comes with our audio interfaces. If you buy an interface from us, you get Artist for free. That's a $100 value. Or there's Studio One Professional, which is what I use in the studio. Now, up until now, you could choose whichever one you want and go. But we recently, in the last year, created this new membership platform called PreSonus Sphere. As you can imagine, PreSonus Sphere gets you access to Studio One Professional, but it also gets you access to a lot of other stuff in addition to Studio One. Let me lay that out for you really quickly. For a low monthly fee or annual fee, you get full access to Studio One Professional. You also get access to Notion. You may not know this, but Notion, notation software, is a really great software for composers and folks who do a lot of notation. They're a part of PreSonus. So when you sign up for PreSonus Sphere, you get Notion as well. Now, in addition to that, in addition to Studio One Professional, you get the Studio One add-ons. So if you've ever used Studio One or seen the PreSonus shop, you know we've produced a bunch of add-ons for Studio One. Things like our vintage console collection, where things like several different versions of analog consoles that you can lay on top of your mix to make it sound like you're mixing through some old analog consoles. There's a whole pack of compressors and EQs from really cool analog equipment that we've modeled and turned into plugins. Most of these were things you could purchase one at a time to add to your collection of plugins within Studio One. That's not to mention all the instrument packs and sample libraries and loop libraries and lots of other extra content that you could get to add to your collection. Well, now if you're a PreSonus Sphere member, from day one, you have access to all of it. All you do is go into Studio One, download the ones you want, and make some music. I'll show you that in just a second. In addition to all the add-ons, another thing you get with PreSonus Sphere is the ability to do some collaboration. So with your Sphere membership, you have access to an online cloud workspace where you can upload files, share with other PreSonus Sphere members or even non-members. They can come in, they can listen to your files, make comments on them. You can upload entire sessions or entire stems or whatever you want, and folks can download them directly from your account. You get a huge amount of space there that you can upload lots of songs and files and share them and have them accessible from anywhere. In addition to that, you also have something that we call the Learn section inside of PreSonus Sphere. And this is the part that I'm most excited about because that's where I'm heavily involved. This is a place where folks like myself and Gregor Byerla, the other software product specialist with PreSonus, create monthly content for our Sphere members. This is exclusive content just for members, meaning there's training videos on things like how to use EQ and compression if you're just getting started. There's more in-depth videos on how to optimize Studio One to get the most efficient workflow. We do monthly live streams where we critique members' mixes and offer feedback on them. There are also monthly live streams where we teach different topics. I recently just did one on producing acoustic guitar and how to come up with different parts and think through how to use more than just one acoustic guitar track to make something really interesting and engaging. We're always adding new things like that into the Sphere members area, and as a Sphere member, you get access to them right away. And what's really cool is if you join now, you get access to over a year's worth of exclusive content that we've already added, and we're always adding new stuff every month. For me, I do at least one in-depth Sphere exclusive video per month, and then there's always the Sphere live stream where we do critiques, and then there's another live stream where either Gregor or myself dive into a topic and you can join us live and ask questions. Really, really great interactive community there. We also have a service called Expert Chat that's included with Sphere, where you can chat with different kind of pro Sphere users or PreSonus users about issues and creative things you're trying to do inside of Studio One. There's probably more there that I'm forgetting because there's just so much. We also have exclusive deals with different artists and creators who've made different sample libraries, effects chains, plugin chains, different virtual instrument sounds and loop libraries that you access as exclusively as a Sphere member. So nobody else can get these unless you are a Sphere member. Another great thing about Sphere, you can join today and you can cancel anytime. Pause your membership, put it on hold, cancel entirely. It's up to you. There's no contract. There's no minimum requirement. You can just test the waters and see if it's right for you. And if you decide, I don't want to do Sphere, I just want to buy Studio One and be done with it, that is absolutely still an option. We're not backing you into a corner saying if you want to use our software, you've got to subscribe to the membership. But the membership is a way to get into Studio One Professional for significantly less investment up front than you would if you were to buy it outright. But we're going to leave you with both options because I would want both options, so we want to give you what we think you would want as well. Okay, so let's dive into Sphere. First thing you'll know when you first sign up for PreSonus Sphere is you'll get access to this Sphere login area. This is where you can see all the products that you own, which is it can be a little overwhelming, I'll admit, but we're just killing you with kindness here. You log in, and under software, you can see you now have access to Studio One Professional. I've got a bunch of old versions because I've been using Studio One for forever. You can see here's Notion. We can download the installers right here within our membership. As far as well, don't worry about hardware. Add-ons. Here's where it gets really fun. Let me just scroll through and show you some of the highlights. These are some of those add-ons I was telling you about that are included with Sphere. A lot of these are various virtual instruments or loop libraries or sample libraries. As you can see, I've used, there's some of these I haven't even had a chance to try out yet. I believe I've used the MVP loops for some stuff. Gosh, there's a lot here. I know I've used Beauty and the East is one of the newest ones that's in there. Silence of the Jams is fairly new. These are some Sphere exclusives that came out since Sphere launched. Deep Flight 1 is incredible. It's a sample library, but all the samples have been heavily manipulated. So you'll have these pad sounds where it's just, but then these crazy sounds come in, these samples that this guy put together, where it's like all these crazy, cool, interesting, unique sounds come in the longer you hold out the note. Really cool stuff. PreSonus Studio Grand is one of my favorites. I'm a more old school kind of, I love just guitars and bass and drums and piano. This is a fantastic collection of piano samples. I think each of them is at least like 500 megabytes. These big honking, really well recorded samples, and you can have a grand piano with a condenser mic, grand piano with ribbon microphones, a grand piano that has more resonance than others. I've used the Gold Baby Essentials, acoustic drum loops. If you're into just doing acoustic drums, we've got a bunch of really well recorded and good sounding drum loops. I mean, you can see I'm only about a third of the way through these. You can see there's just a bunch here. So that's just all the sample libraries, what we're calling sound sets. And as we come down into this section, now we're looking at plugins. Check out the plugins that you get as a Sphere member. Some of these are already included with Studio One, like red light distortion and analog delay. They're phenomenal. But also there are things like this channel strip collection, which has a couple of analog models of channel strip hardware that we developed as a company. We've turned them into plugin formats. They sound really cool. And here are a few of those different analog. We have a thing called Fat Channel, which is like your own little virtual rack that can have one EQ, one compressor, and you can swap out what EQs and compressors you have in there. The stock version of Studio One has 3 options for compressor and 3 options for the EQ, and those are great. But if you want more options, in the past, you would have to purchase a bundle or purchase these individually to add things like this Alpine EQ channel, which is one of my favorites. This tube compressor is so good on so many things. This British compressor is fantastic on the mix bus and drums bus. This classic compressor, I almost can't find something that it doesn't sound good on. These are all, when you open up Fat Channel, once you're a Sphere member and you've installed this, you can choose from all of these different EQs and compressors to really shape your tone. I love that. The Lexicon MPXI reverb, I don't have that yet. I haven't installed it, but I want to check it out. So anyway, as you can see, now these are down here are just sound sets. A lot of these are for Notion. So if you do a lot of composing, you have some really nice, basically orchestral sounds included in there. So I could go through this for days and days, and we could sample these. But I just wanted to give you a quick scroll through overview of some of the things that are in my account because I am a Sphere member. Let's go through the other tabs here, and then I'll show you how to set things up inside of Studio One. So these are the products. The Learn section, this is where all those exclusive videos are. So as you can see, we have a link to all our product videos, which are just the ones that we put on our website. But here under exclusive videos, these are all the videos you have access to as a PreSonus Sphere member. Most of them done by myself and Gregor Byerle, but we do have guest folks like Marcus Huskins who comes in and does these phenomenal series on, he did one on vocal tuning, he did one on sampling, like really in depth on how to create samples and map them out and do all that stuff using Studio One. Gregor had a great exclusive live stream with DJ Emperor that was sick. All of that's here. So the live streams get archived here. All the custom videos get archived here. I've done one on mixing drums and bass that was really fun. Gregor's done some great master classes on things like compression and automation. I did a Recording 101 series right at the beginning, as well as a series on EQ, and Gregor did one on compression. It's just, as you can see, this is just the beginning. PreSonus Sphere launched in middle of 2020, and look at all the content we've already added, and we're continuously every month adding more. So don't feel like you have to watch all of this, but just think, am I trying to figure out how to treat my room? Well, check out this How to Treat Your Room video that I did about my space that I'm in right now. I recently moved and had to set up the room again. I've gotten really good at that, and here's a 21-minute video that kind of walks you through my process for setting up my room. So lots of stuff there. Let's move over to support. We'll support you. That's no big deal, nothing to show there as far as if you're having issues, need tech support, need to chat with somebody, that's all there. But Workspaces is one of the really cool things that is exclusive to Sphere members. So when I come here, a list on the left-hand side opens up that shows me all the workspaces that I am a part of. So these are the ones that I've created up here, and then my collaborations, these are ones where I'm collaborating with someone else. So it's someone else's workspace that they've invited me to. So if I grab, I think this one that I've done with Gregor, you can see there's two members here. There's Gregor, look at him, and he's so cute, pixelated Gregor. And then you can see a timeline here. So it should feel very familiar to you if you've done any sort of online, chat and file sharing feature. We have a chat here where I can ask him, hey Pumpkin, can you please check this out and let me know what you think? He replied back with some comments and even attached a picture to it to tell me kind of the issues that he heard in the mix. I can share individual files. If we don't want to scroll back and see every single file that we've uploaded and when we uploaded it, which is really nice to have kind of a time-stamped section that keeps a history of what's going on in this workspace, we can click on files and we can see exactly what's here. We can see there's stems here, so those are the individual tracks for this song. That's a different song, just some acoustic tracks, and here's a mix that I sent to Gregor. So from right here, I can hit play, and we can start listening to this mix, and a little player opens up right here on top of the window, which is great. My volume's off. Anyway, you just have to trust me that that's playing. But we can also go in and we can click directly on this, and it opens up this whole new window. So check this out. Now we can see a waveform for what I submitted, and if I hit play here, okay, there's the audio. It had a bunch of dead space at the beginning. But now I can listen, and I can also leave comments along the way, much like you've seen with systems like SoundCloud, where I can leave a comment and say, this is incredible, you should win a Grammy. And it pops in and it does a couple of things. It shows me where the comment was, and then like the list of comments comes from over here, and I can reply to the comment or I can play from here. So it's a time-stamped comment, which is really cool. And then you can have a general just conversation around the file as well in this little chat section, which means if you're in a band or you're working with several different people, you can send them this link to this file once you've done your mix, which, by the way, you can send directly here from inside of Studio One. You don't have to leave Studio One to do this. You can upload it here and say, hey, there's a new file, here's the link or whatever, and then they can all come in and have a conversation around it. It's a great centralized location, especially if you're working with clients where you're sending things off and they're giving you feedback. If you've done that any number of times, I remember distinctly projects I've worked on where I've had to print out their email back because it had 17 requests on it, and then kind of make it into a checklist and then keep up with those pieces of paper or those emails or make a folder for them. It's not impossible, but things can easily get spread out. Okay, he asked me about something. Where was it? I think it was a text message. Let me go look in my text, or maybe it was on Skype. Maybe it was an email. Maybe it was a letter. Whatever it was, we can kind of consolidate all of that and say, hey, I'm going to send you this Sphere workspace, and here's the file. Can you leave your comments there? Then while I'm working, I can literally flip back and forth between Studio One and this actual file with all the comments, and I can just work my way through the comments that they made. Really, really handy. And what's helpful is the people that you invite to this to comment or to interact with you in your workspace, they can be PreSonus Sphere members. Obviously, that's nice, but they don't have to be. If they're not a Sphere member, they're using another system, or maybe it's just a musician who doesn't have recording software, but they live in another state, so you're doing a lot of stuff virtually back and forth. You can just send them the link. They can create a quick PreSonus account for free, and then they can access everything and do everything we're talking about here as far as leaving comments, downloading files, and all of that. It's a very, very cool workflow, one that I admittedly have not taken full advantage of yet. I've just been so busy making the contents for Sphere, but the next project that I work on with a big group of people, this is going to be the way I'm going to share it, and it's just super handy. It brings everything under one roof, so you don't have to use quite as many different services. I've done the thing where I export to Dropbox, which is a great service, and then I send the links to people, but then I have to kind of make mental notes of who said what and where. This allows me to consolidate all of that. And as you can see, you can have just a couple of members. I think I'm a member of one down here that has quite a few members. I think this one has a whole bunch of members, as you can see. I mean, this one looks like 20 to 30 members, and so folks are sharing things all the time. You can really customize it. You can see with crazy artwork. You can have a featured mix here at the top. You can check all the different files they've loaded here. It's a pretty cool thing. We've kind of created our own little place for community within your creative workspaces, which is really cool. And finally, Exchange. Exchange has been a part of Studio One since the beginning, where you can upload presets and effects chains and things that you've created, and other members can download that. If you didn't know that, that's something that we have. It's available inside the Browse menu inside of Studio One. But now that we have Sphere, we've got these different artists and producers that have made their own custom presets for us. Like Allie Walker, I met her at NAMM a couple of years ago. She's shared some of the presets that she uses on her voice and I think guitar. Folks like Gary Noble have shared some of their presets. There's Marcus Huskins, that handsome devil right there, has shared a bunch of stuff. He's got some videos he's put inside of Sphere, and I believe he's got some presets that he's shared as well. Stuff that you can just download and make a part of your workflow. One of the biggest contributors is Craig Anderton. Craig Anderton lives here in Nashville. I get to see him occasionally. Really nice dude. He does a weekly article for us at PreSonus on our blog, but he also contributes quite a bit to this exchange where you can go in and actually download different things that he's created. He's probably the most prolific that we have. I love that we see his nose right here. He created this Transient Shaper using a combination of different plugins in Studio One. Save that as an effects chain. You can download this, drop it into your session, and it pulls up all the exact settings. It's not just a single preset for a single plugin. It's a whole effects chain, a whole channel strip. I mean, you could spend 3 days just going through each of these that Craig has created. One for blues harp. I mean, how cool is that? A multi-band chorus using a couple. I'm guessing he uses the splitter tool to split things out into multiple frequencies and then apply a different chorus to each one. That's my guess. I don't know. I haven't downloaded that one yet. But as you can see, a lot of cool stuff there. We're just adding perks on top of perks. And of course, you can upload your own stuff. I've uploaded a few Ampire rigs, different guitar rigs, and a couple of macros for some different features. I don't have nearly as many as Craig does, but once they're uploaded, they're kind of there for the world to share, if that makes sense. Okay, let's switch over now to Studio One, because the Sphere area and Studio One work flawlessly together, especially since versions 5.2, 5.3, we really started to develop this and make it very, very cool. Let me open up a song here. This is the song that I used for my other IMSTA presentation about kind of how Studio One works. If you haven't seen that, they should have it on their site at some point, because this video is all about. This presentation is all about Sphere itself. So Studio One, the way Studio One generally works is a lot of stuff happens over here in the browser. This is where you can drag in your different instruments and presets, also your plugin effects. You can drag them directly into the channel. But as you can see, there's a few more areas here. We can find all of our loops that we have installed on our machine. We can also come over here to Cloud, which is where we can find all the Exchange things that I talked about. Of course, I'm getting the beach ball now, because I have a lot of loops installed here. If we come over to Cloud, we can see here's PreSonus Sphere, and I'm going to double click and it's going to load up the stuff I just showed you inside the browser. As soon as, there it is. Okay. So now we can see there's collaborations and workspaces. If I look at my workspaces, then it's going to pull up those different workspaces that I just showed you. As you can imagine, it's having to translate a lot of data from online. So the first time you load it up, it's a little bit slower. I believe this is the one we were looking at. Yep. Here's those stems I was showing you. I can drag these like right into my session from here. Like I'm literally dragging these from the workspace that's in the cloud somewhere into my session. Here's the mix that I played for Gregor. I can literally play this mix right here inside of Studio One if I want to. If I'm trying to look for a file that I didn't have, see if I hit play here. right? It's just playing through my session. Super handy. And then I could always go to the workspace if I need to. I can click on the WAV file here, and it will open the actual file. So that particular mix, like I showed you before, I just got here in one click, so now I can see all the comments. The comments don't show up in Studio One yet. I think that might be a future update. I'm not sure. But as you can see, this is really cool integration that you can stay in Studio One for most of your work, and then you can go to the browser for the comments and the social media interaction type stuff as well. This is also a place where you can take your files and drop them in. So I can literally just drag these files over, and you can see Studio One is going to export all of these as WAV files into this workspace, just like that. Let's undo. I just messed something up. It's just that simple. We're literally dragging from my local Studio One session into my workspace in the cloud. Very, very cool. So how do you set up? Let's say you just signed up for Sphere, and you're able to get here to the Sphere kind of homepage where you can access all this material. Oh, by the way, I didn't even mention we have Studio One meetups happening all around the world. They've been virtual, obviously, for the last year and a half or so, but there's a good chance that you have one for your area. So check out the special events on the Sphere login page. There may be some there that you want to check out to meet some other PreSonus users. But let's say you've got Studio One installed, right? You downloaded the installer from your Sphere members area. You pull it in. Now, how do you activate and install all those extras? Because they don't automatically install, because it's gigabytes and gigabytes and gigabytes of information that we don't want to just throw on your computer. You may not want it all, which is understandable. So how do you tell Studio One which ones that you want? It's really easy, but if you didn't know where to look, it might take you a minute to find it. So first thing you do is come to Studio One Activation. This is where you activate. If you already have Studio One installed, any version, whether it's the free version, Prime, the artist version, or Professional, you don't have to download a new installer. It's actually all the same installer. It's just different versions included in that same install. You come over here to activate with PreSonus Sphere. And all it does, as long as you're connected to the internet, you hit activate, you enter your new PreSonus login that you got when you purchased Sphere, and it will ping the server. It'll say, yes, this person's a Sphere member, and you're good to go. It's really that simple. And you don't have to have your computer online all the time to be a Sphere member. If you like to keep your computer off the internet for most of the time for safety reasons or whatever, or maybe just to keep you from distraction, you can do that. Studio One will check once a month to make sure that you're still an active Sphere member. So you'll need to connect to the internet at least once a month so it can run that quick check to make sure. So it's not a constant, you must always be connected. There's no dongle. It's just you use your PreSonus login, and that's it. Okay. Now you've activated Studio One. Now what can you install? Go to Studio One Installation, and this really fun menu pops up. This is like a toy store. Okay. We can install from our PreSonus account. We can choose which hard drive we want to install this to. So I generally choose an external drive so I can install my samples there. And we can choose the full installation if you just want to go for it and, go away for like 3 days until it's all installed. Or you can do custom, which is what I do. And now everything down here in this menu, I wonder if I can make this just a little bit bigger to show you. This menu shows us all the stuff that I currently own. There's instruments here. This is kind of the core stuff that's included just with Studio One in general, okay? But down here under My Purchased Items, this is where you're looking at all your Sphere stuff. It's purchased because you own Sphere. Excuse me. And so now Studio One basically thinks you've bought all these add-ons. Look at them all. Now, as you can see, I have most of these installed. There's a few newer ones I haven't installed yet. Studio Grand should be installed. Maybe I don't know, maybe it's not. But as you can see, there are a bunch that I haven't installed yet. And all you do here is you come down and you say, oh yeah, I want Ampire, which is our amp modeling software, which is probably already installed. But we released a new Ampire high density pack that we sell for 60, 70, 80 bucks on our website. As a Sphere member, you get that for free. This was an upgrade that included like 3 or 4 new amps and 3 or 4 new pedals that are really, really cool. I really like one of the new amps that we added. You just get that for free as a Sphere member. So bam, no extra money out of your pocket. It's just part of the perks of being there. Here's that channel strip collection, the Fat Channel collection that I was telling you about. Retro Mix Legends. This is another thing we came out with that adds to our Mix Effects engine, which is that thing I was mentioning where you can have your entire console sound like it's going through several different types of old analog consoles to add that extra just warmth and vibe and kind of grit that can be there. We added a bunch of new consoles. Guess what? You get it for free as a Sphere member. All you do is just find what you want. Let's find one that's not installed, like this Speaker Freaker. That's fairly new. I just select the checkbox for the ones I want to install, and I just hit install. And it downloads directly from the server, and when it's downloaded, it installs them, and next time you start Studio One, you may have to restart it for it to take effect. Then it'll be available in your list of plugins or list of effects or list of sound sets or wherever it needs to go. This is really, 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 really cool. So for example, when I first got Sphere, I didn't install anything because I was just trying to see how it worked. Then I realized, oh man, I want all these, like this Convology Spring Reverb is something I bought years ago. It's still in my account as well, but now I can come in and say, oh, that Silence of the Jams that came out, I want that. And we can download it. And then you can also uninstall. If there's things you're not using, you want to save some space on your machine, you can certainly uninstall things as well. But as you can see, there's a lot here. There's a lot of content here. And I would recommend maybe going through just a batch at a time. As fun as it is to install everything so you have it all, you can make a case for that. Me personally, I get a little overwhelmed if I have too many choices. So for me, I would much rather, granted, I didn't really do this, did I? I would much rather go through and just work through one sound set, like the Silence of the Jams. I'm not entirely sure what all is in there. I think it's an Impact kit. It's 600 gigabytes, so it's a big sucker. But maybe I can come in there and then I can test out all the different kits there. Maybe save a few as favorites, and then those are now added to my arsenal next time I'm working on a song. But there's a lot of stuff here. And I think historically, if you've been in the industry for a while, when Studio One first came out, I remember I used it as a version 2, but I worked at a retailer when it first came out. And one of the big complaints was it didn't have a lot of great sounds included. The MIDI virtual instruments, you needed to go buy some more to kind of fill out your sound set. With Sphere, that is no longer the case. If you're into synthesizers, we have some incredible synths and tons of presets and sound sets that can optimize or maximize that a lot. However, if you're like me, I tend to record like guitars, vocals. I like lots of different pianos and keyboards like Wurlitzer, Fender Rhodes, like those kind of things. We have some killer sounds like that as well. In addition to, let me see if I didn't show you this. PreSonus Studio Grand is a killer piano sample. But then there's also the PreSonus, PreSonus Symphonic Orchestra. So this one is a little hidden. The PSO stuff here. We have Pso Music Loops, which Music Loops is a whole other thing that I'd have to show you. I showed you in the other video. The Pso Classic Orchestra and Pso Contemporary Strings. Let me just show you what you get once you download those. So this is for kind of the old school, old farts like me who just want more like traditional instruments. So the instruments included with Studio One, it's only a handful. So at first you look at this, these are our virtual instruments, and you think, huh, what a ripoff. Actually, no, you don't need that many different instruments. It's the sounds that you're after. So Impact is our drum programmer. Mai Tais are really cool. Mai Tai and Mojito are both really cool, like analog style synthesizers, where you can dial in a synth sound from scratch or use a bunch of presets. Presence is our sampler, right? This is our, well, not our sampler, this is our sample playback engine. This is where all your sound sets go. So for example, electric pianos and organs. There's a whole bunch here, but the big one that I love is, this is what I was just telling you about. Look at this. I've got a bunch of different horn, like French horn. I love French horn. Let's drag it in and play it real quick, so you just get an idea of what this thing sounds like. So it's going to open up an instance of Presence. It's going to load in the samples, which will take just a second because it's only 100 megabytes, not too bad. But listen to these. I switched from minor to major. That's so embarrassing. And you probably want to hear the strings as well. Let's go with a viola section. Let me just drag that onto here. It'll change the preset real quickly. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, it's a big sample. Here it comes, here it comes. Oh, it's a big sample. Look at that. 300 megabytes. Here we go. Anyway, if you've ever played like stock orchestral sounds on a lot of systems, they can sound pretty garbage. These are beautiful, really, really pretty. I would show you more, but I'm running out of time. But there's just so much here. One more. Where was the the Rhodes? I used this Rhodes full chorus the other day on a song, and it was just delightful. If you love just a good electric keyboard sound, we've got a clavinets, accordion. I haven't played with accordion yet. A Rhodes, suitcase, and knot, and then even a Wurlitzer. But listen to this. And obviously there's lots of different, like there's modulation here, there's reverb built into the plugin itself. It's just a smorgasbord of sounds. That's all the time I have for today. Thank you so much for being here. If you're interested and want to check out Sphere more, head to our website or go to your favorite dealer who can sell PreSonus Sphere. Get into it, come have fun, and come say hi. All right, thanks for watching. See ya.